doesn't have any people around. So that'll be an interesting thing to do. Yeah. So you can actually get more information and stuff. So the next thing we want to show you is this is actually one of our newer projects. This actually uses the technology called mixed reality. So my colleague is going to demo. He's doing it outside. So the whole goal of this project was actually commissioned by General Motors Korea. So in Korea, the traffic is quite difficult, especially in Seoul. So showrooms are not easy to. Showrooms are really very small and not easy to get to. So the way of selling cars in Korea is they actually send salespeople to the client's location. But the problem with that is that they don't really have a physical car to show. So that is the first level of sales. So actually we thought of this thing has actually matured quite a bit. So this is a great way to actually see how this thing fits in your space. You can easily go through several models. You can change all the different options. You can try how it fits in your. It simulates the size pretty well. So in a sense, you can also even try to see whether you fit in that space as well. Yeah. So another thing why they decided they wanted to do such a project is also because, especially today, a lot of new cars, they have very new features like collision detection, a lot of the third level to fifth level autonomous driving. The thing is that they are not allowed to demonstrate. Yeah, because it's for insurance and safety reasons. They cannot demonstrate collision detection and stuff like that. So they had to have a way to communicate to their customers how does it work. Another problem is Korea, the native language is not English. A lot of the videos, the demonstrations are all done in English. So they need something that they can visually show them and stuff. Yeah. So the next thing we have is over this side.
Yeah, no worries. Hi everyone, I'm Prakash. So essentially what you see here are two manifestations. One is what we call JW Hollow, and the other one is what we did with essentially with Alexa, with the Amazon Echo, Alexa. Picking up my voice. So essentially, what this is about is where Johnny Walker came to us with a brief, saying that look, we typically conduct mentoring, right? Whiskey mentoring, just like how your wine appreciation today. There's a lot of whiskey mentoring that actually happens around the world. All the brands are competing against each other. Obviously the rise of single malts, etc. as well. So, one way to get folks to sort of consume, obviously, Johnny Walker whiskey, is to educate them more about Johnny Walker whiskey, right? And what they refer to as mentoring. Now, typically, if you want to get mentored in the past about whiskey, you need to actually visit the premises of a lot of these brands, right, where you have master blenders who actually take you through everything about the history of this whiskey, the taste, the notes, all of that, right? So Johnny Walker came to us and said, look, we want to scale mentoring because it's a one to few approach that we have right now. It's costly both at our end, at the brand's end, to actually organize this mentoring. It's costly for the consumer who has to fly down, usually to Scotland, to get mentored. So how can we scale mentoring to reach more of the masses and to educate them about whiskey? And while in the process of doing that, how do we ensure that we maintain a certain level of premiumness, a prestige associated with the brand? So we can't cheapen this either. It has to still, feel premium. So the idea that our wonderful creative and innovation team came up with was that two ideas actually, and we've since implemented this. One is JW Hollow, where what essentially happens is that what you see here is a piece of plastic that's folded into a reverse pyramid, right? It comes in inserted into every one of these bottles, right? In a piece of plastic, right? And what you then do is there are two sizes of this. One that's meant for your iPhone or mobile phone, and the other one that's meant for a tablet. There are little instructions in there on how to fold this, right? So you just fold it into this shape. You can then place it on top of the device, right? Go to the YouTube channel and watch these videos, especially created videos that we've produced here, right? To watch these mentoring sessions, and how we scale this. One is by using a platform like YouTube, so anyone in the world can actually access it. You don't need to download an app. You just literally need to go to YouTube, and you can actually play this. Right. So James is going to play this now. So think of this as one episode of being mentored. We've created multiple episodes of this, and if you walk around this, you'll notice it's actually from any angle. And if you place this in a living room with your friends, you could actually, anyone can watch this from any angle. Right. Most importantly, you see it's got a nice 3D immersive effect. The next version of this, how we're evolving this, is we'll have a more prestigious version of this, which is a more premium version of it, which is actually using glass. So in this instance, we work with various manufacturers as well, and because you require special coating, special materials to be able to create this sort of a pepper ghost effect. Okay, so this is one manifestation. The next one was where we imagined the future of mentoring in every home, where you could get mentored and you could actually complete the entire loop by purchasing a bottle once you've been mentored as well. Right? So we're going to start. So we created an Alexa skill. Alexa, open Johnny Walker.
What do you want to do today? Choose a label. Buy a bottle. Whiskey 101. Or try a guided tasting.
Choose a label.
Are you looking for yourself or for a gift?
For myself.
Okay, let's find the best blend for your taste. First things first. I don't want to bust your budget, so should I set a cap at $80 or are you open to something more expensive?
Sure, $80.
Since you don't mind making it rain, let's talk taste. Which flavors do you like most? Spice, smooth, smoky.
Alexa, stop. Okay, so.
Okay, check back soon. I'm ready to talk whiskey whenever you are. Keep walking.
Right. So, in this particular instance, like I said, we created this skill. One important element of ensuring the brand is, you don't lose sort of the brand personality. The brand image is, it's a lot in the crafting of, and that's where the creative process is involved as well. Where we craft the scripts, we give it that sort of a tone, because essentially you're using a voice that's already inbuilt. But then how do you ensure that brand A stands up for brand B, and from brand C it doesn't become sort of an obvious thing. So that's the other added value of us sort of scripting this, ensuring that in this case there was a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek, some humor injected into this as well. So it makes an experience that much more enjoyable. But what you didn't realize is, what you realized when it actually went through the menu, when Alexa when she first spoke, was it said, would you like to buy a bottle? So that here what we do is we connect it up with the supply chain in that sense and say that, well, if you like to buy a bottle, and let's say you've got alcohol delivery in Singapore, right? And you could then say, I'd like to buy 2 bottles of Blue Label, and next thing you know, it's triggering that, and alcohol delivery is delivering these 2 bottles of Blue Label to you. So from mentoring to actual sales as well.
And is that coming from the fulfillment? Is that happening from the stores of Johnny Walker?
Yeah, so obviously from their preferred distributors as well,
right.
and retail as well.
Okay, would these be like the Amazons, Lazadas and all?
Absolutely. So
right.
This has actually now since been deployed in the US already.
Okay, and what has been the impact so far?
It's actually a pilot, so we don't have the results just yet.
Okay.
We just literally it was just about a month and a half ago, so if you actually look it up.
Okay. And what was the reason for you choosing Alexa?
Well, I guess it was between Google and Amazon.
Right.
At the point in time when this was conceptualized, which was about a year ago.
Okay.
This was far more sort of
right.
ready.
Right. And would this be rolled out in the APAC region?
There is an intent.
Right.
But it all boils down to, because there are legal implications in each country as well.
Right.
in terms of doing this.
You wouldn't do this in Indonesia, for example.
That's right.
Okay.
Black markets, yeah.
Right.
Or
Okay.
dark markets, rather.
Right. Why couldn't it just been a solution where you could watch this at scale on the TV with family?
Because I mean, again, when you want to know, are you talking about this particular one or this for the hologram?
The one on the
right?
top, yeah.
So, the idea here was that when someone picks up a bottle of, you notice it actually comes together with a bottle, right? So when you actually pick it up, right, you could obviously say, well, go to this particular, URL or go online and watch this particular video. You wouldn't get the same effect of what you're getting right now with this particular holographic effect.
Okay.
That's what I meant by, it maintaining a certain level of prestige.
Right.
With that's associated with the brand as well.
Okay.
And obviously there's an element of them wanting to be associated
Right.
with some of the most cutting edge
Right.
sort of technologies out there as well.
Right. And at this stage, if you were to implement this in APAC, would the language change?
Well, yes, absolutely, yeah, for sure.
Language of
And
the
in
Alexa.
this instance, the intent was to do this only in English, but
Right.
China being a massive market as well,
Yeah.
there's an intent to do this in Mandarin as well.
Okay. Great. And what is the expected impact? How do you measure the performance or the effectiveness of this tactic?
Well, for us, obviously, one of the things we look at is in terms of how many times have people actually played this particular. In this instance, there are videos, right?
Right.
So, how long has the video been played for? How many people have actually watched these videos? Which
Right.
episodes did they look at? So
Right.
the beauty of that, then we also know what they're actually interested in as well,
Right.
and we can create more content around that.
And is there a way to track that the people who are watching it are the same people who bought the product?
Yes, because in this particular, well, not really, to be honest. Yeah, not yet, at least, because you use this as a proxy because of the fact that you won't be watching this unless you purchase the bottle and you got one of these films,
Right.
right? Because you can't when you watch it without this.
Yeah, it's
what
just
it
like
looks
it's like 4 images and a plus. Yeah.
That's right.
Right.
And so the assumption here is obviously someone's purchased one of these bottles,
Right.
and therefore is experiencing this
I
as
see.
well.
Right.
Yeah.
Without it, it's pretty boring to watch, I guess. Right. Okay. Thank you.
You're most welcome.
Anyone
And last
else?
but not least is what we created for the Singapore Tourism Board. And in this particular instance, STB actually came to us with a brief saying, well, look, we typically participate every year in obviously the MICE team, right, within STB. We participate in a lot of these trade shows, exhibitions, globally, where we're trying to promote Singapore as a destination to host your large events, your conventions. And in each of these exhibitions, we have our booths, right? And our booths are, to be perfectly honest, fairly boring. We go out, pretty much telling the world that we're a highly innovative country. We stand for innovation, and yet our booths don't do justice to what we're saying out there. So how can we make our booths really stand out, make it more experiential, really do justice to Singapore? How can we bring Singapore to these exhibitions, right? So what our team conceptualized was essentially what is known as a cave, right? It literally feels like you're in a cave, right? And the idea here was to, what if you had a space, pretty much a 3 by 3 meter space within the booth, where you could display immersive content about Singapore, and the other layer was that there's also a touchscreen element to this as well. So using projectors, right? And touchscreen sensors that are all over the walls. We essentially created this experience. So we started by, and a lot of times this was curated, right, by STB themselves. So they said, would you like to, sort of be inspired about Singapore? And you click on that, and this would be a
Picture this.
full
You're in
immersive.
Singapore for a business trip. You're all charged up, looking for new opportunities. But soon you find your eyes closing. It's not jet lag. You're not tired. What you need is a little taste of Singapore. It's the very heart of Asia, where cultures, races, and religions stand together. And
Yeah, feel free to come in.
create something
You get the full experience when you actually walk in here.
easy to celebrate. And even more reasons to feast. Where business blends with nature.
you see a deployment of a particular emerging technology for one very specific purpose, and then it never sees the light of day after that. It kind of gets, goes into a little space and, okay, we did this, and let's move on to the next thing, and let's move on to the next thing. Typically what we're always trying to do here is we're trying to think of how we can, as much as we're obviously thinking of emerging technologies, it's also about, we're always thinking about how do we scale this, right? Because that's the real value to the business, where they say, okay, and hardware no longer is a big cost prohibitor, because a lot of these hardware, the cost of these hardware has come down to the hundreds and the low thousands, where in the past they used to be in the tens of thousands. So that allows us to truly scale what we're doing. So take for example when Chai was demonstrating what we did for General Motors and the B showroom. The whole idea is that to reimagine the future of showrooming, because it's not about, for us it's not just, it started with auto, and now we have real estate. As you can imagine, real estate companies are now speaking to us about how can we reimagine showrooming of show flats. You don't need to worry about having large spaces, especially in very very dense cities where cost of real estate is very high. How can we bring the showroom to anywhere, any place, and give as close to a physical experience as possible, right? And that's what we're able to do now. So for example, how this started out as a one dealership experience, a pilot. It went very quickly. Once they halfway through the project, they said, the sales guys went, this is amazing, how quickly can we scale this? And the next thing you know, it went very quickly from 1 to 140 dealerships in Seoul. Very quickly it went from 140 dealerships in Seoul to how can we scale this to Australia, to the US, to Dubai? How can we add more vehicles into this application? So I don't need a big showroom where I have 10, I don't have space for 10 cars, right? How can I look at, for example, trucks, where there are apparently 1 million combinations of trucks, right? And how can we look at speccing? How can we complete the experience? So all of this is now possible. It's not rocket science, and we're always thinking of how do we, again, like I said, scale this. How do we scale this? Because in the past it was always about. That's why when we say that Now Lab is it's an innovation accelerator. And in the past, I'll be very honest, a lot of agencies, we were guilty of sort of having these sort of rooms with nice toys, if I may call them, right? Where we had applied it for one particular, and it never kind of went anywhere after that. But that was in the early 2000s, and today the operative sort of phrase is how do we scale this? How to scale innovation?
Right.
And the other aspect of this, another very very critical part of this is that it's not about technology first. It's what's the business problem or the brand challenge that we're trying to solve. What is the idea? The technology is not the idea. The technology is the enabler, right? And then we think about what are the right technologies to bring into place to deliver against that idea, which solves the business problem. So that's kind of the process.
And this setup, where was this deployed?
This one, this
Yeah,
particular,
right.
At AIM
Right.
in Melbourne,
Okay.
and subsequently in Barcelona. What's the Barcelona one called?
I think it's mine.
Yeah,
Alright.
yeah, right.
And
So
Response?
it was fabulous. I mean, like I
Right.
said, it won the best of show.
Right.
The fact that STB then said, look, it's been such a huge success. Can we please deploy this now in Barcelona?
Right.
And then then there's always what's the next thing?
Right. Right. Okay. Right. Thank you very much. And what about this is patented or is it licensed technology from you guys?
It's not patented. I mean,
Right.
I think in this instance because.
Patented by Dentsu or is it licensed? Right.
No, it is in this instance. It's they're actually bespoke projects that we create for, like in the instance of V Showroom, that is a license, because it's a product that we've actually created.
Okay.
But a lot of these instances are actually bespoke
Okay. Thank
because
you.
we can't possibly IP,
Right.
any of these. We can't,
Right.
it's
Okay.
mainstream technology that already
Okay.
exists.
Thank you.
You're most welcome.
Yeah. Okay. Good presentation. Anything else after this?
I think there's the Google, the voice.
Yeah, what we talked about in here is we had the minister come in, and so we've built this voice lab to kind of research and rapidly prototype solutions for our clients. about the things that they're really concerned with. And so what we did is we actually brought in the infobot with that. So, hey Google, ask the iProspect infobot why voice.
All right, get my prospect infobot.
Why voice? I'm glad you asked. We recently took a poll of our global clients about their key challenges for 2018. Number 2 was figuring out a strategy for digital assistants like me and how people discover brands and products when searching vocally.
Okay, but is that relevant to Asia?
It sure is. You might be surprised to know that 45% of people in Asia have already used voice search, well above the global average of 31%. That's over 661 million people.
Well, that's a lot of people. Does it end there?
Absolutely not. Smart homes are fast becoming the main way we interface with the digital world from the comfort of our living rooms. They are already used to play music, search for products, and even order pizzas. Smart homes will continue to drive vocal technology.
So brands should focus on making life more convenient for us through these bots, correct?
Exactly. Our survey's number 1 concern was about using data. Since I'm so smart, I can go through massive amounts of data and ensure I make the best and most relevant recommendations. I could easily become the best concierge, waitress, and many other things.
Oh, well, I can't wait for that. Then what we did is we had the minister come in and play around with the Voice Lab bot, which we built in partnership with Google. And so what this one does is it actually pulls recent search trends on displays. Yeah.
Sorry, I can't remember.
Sorry.
Sorry to
come
on
on.
in. Yeah, come on in. So for example, some things that you can do. Hey Google, talk to Voice Lab. So we bring up the
Sure,
Voice
here's the
Lab
test
app.
version of Voice Lab.
Welcome to Voice Lab.
How often do people go online in Singapore?
Most people go on every day. Anything else I can help with?
What type of local information did people look for?
Lots of people search for prices, promotions, locations, and more. Is that all?
Well, about price, what is the trend in Google search?
Bitcoin and iPhone 10 prices are very popular these days. Is that all?
What is the trend for Bitcoin?
You can see that at the end of last year there was a big spike in searches, but then it has tapered off recently. Can I help with anything else?
No, thank you.
Okay, you can ask again whenever you want.
So what we did with kind of the iProspect infobot is, we built this little app for the assistant that kind of explains about iProspect, and then we can use it for presentations and stuff like that. But what we built here with the Voice Lab bot in conjunction with Google is it actually queries the data and populates it. So it's in beta right now, so it's not super functional, but we are able to do other countries and it'll populate their search data and stuff like that. So what we're looking to do is kind of make it more useful, more intuitive, so that you can just pull up data just by asking and get a nice visualization too. So that's just kind of what we talked a little bit about today.
And of the 661 million searches, are these searches or are these people?
That was people.
Right. Okay. And it's tracked by device.
I'm not sure exactly which one that was.
Okay.
Bowen put that one in.
Okay.
But yeah, I believe what he did is he just calculated 45% of the population of the countries that were polled.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. And would you happen to have? And this is for Singapore, or was that for Asia Pacific?
That was for Asia Pacific.
And would you happen to know what the languages were?
I do not know.
Right.
Bowen might.
Okay.
We could probably
Right.
come back to you on that.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
I believe-
hold that thought and we can chat. And
I
we
think
can feed
it's
that back in.
probably English,
Right.
because just looking at the available languages within Google right now, there is Japanese, so that might be in there as well. But Chinese wasn't available yet, and obviously other languages as well.
I see.
So I believe the majority would be English, maybe with some Japanese mixed in.
Okay, that's great. Well, a recent Google patent that was filed, it's going to place great emphasis on reviews that come from people who are still within the vicinity of the area. Will that be part of voice as well?
Okay, I think it will, because when you do ask things like, hey Google, what's a good pizza place around here?
I found a few places within 6.5 kilometers. The first one is Domino's Bukit Merah,
So it's kind of listing off some places. What it takes into account is obviously location, how close you are to these places, and then it does look at like reviews and kind of popularity. So I think that patent might be connected then,
The third one is Crust
and
Pizza,
eventually get
34
incorporated
Binor
in
on
this way.
Mambe, Holland Village in
I'm not a Google
Singapore.
person, so I can't say officially, but that's what I imagine it would go to.
Okay, great. And what kind of clients do you see or foresee you would initially, type of clients, category-wise clients that you think that you would initially roll this out with?
Well, there's kind of applications for a very varied client base, but the obvious ones are things like hotel, service industries. It'd be very nice to have just a concierge in your room, so you don't have to call down or use their app or whatever. Just say, order room service, or you're down lounging by the pool, and you don't want to get up and go to the bar. You say, bring me a beer, something like that. With service industries as well, right now, you have to go in and you have to queue up to get your burger or whatever. But if you have these assistants, they can take everyone's order, give you, your waiting number, and it just makes it a lot more streamlined.
Right.
So I think those are kind of the obvious ones.
Right.
Then there's other things like financial transactions, perhaps, and obviously shopping. We see in the U.S., obviously, Amazon has been doing shopping forever, but with Google, they've been partnering with stores like Target and other retailers so that they too can purchase through their devices.